Hey, my wonderful people, you're welcome back to the channel. This is Yuglo Fashion, and thank you so much for stopping by. So in today's video, I'll be showing you the making of this Princess Darts Bustier top with Basque effect. It's well detailed and beginner friendly, so please ensure you enjoy the tutorial till the end. Like and share the video as well. Thank you. For this tutorial class, I used this Ankara fabric of 1 yard and also my lining, wadi as well, and interface. And for the second Ankara, I used it for the puff sleeve. So I have my pattern drafted out already from shoulder to the blouse length, and I labeled them accordingly. Having done with the pattern, the next is I measure from the nipple to nipple, which is the nipple span. My nipple span is 7 inches divided by 2. So this paper now it should be on fold, though I did not fold it. Then after measuring the nipple span, I measure the nipple span from the nipple point down to the blouse length. Then also I proceed to measure 2 inches after the nipple span, and I connected the lines as well. Next is the 2 inches in between the nipple span and the other side. I'll be dividing it between the two. That is, the nipple side, which is the middle, we take half, and the other, which will serve as the side, we take the remaining 1.5, and I'll be connecting it to the 4.5 from the armhole side. You know, we usually measure 4.5 at this side just to create our armhole. So that is the point I'll be connecting this ½ inch to, but it's going to start from the under bust because that's where our bust ends, and I'll connect it this way. So having done with the connection, you can see it's curved. Then the next thing is to connect the remaining 1.5 inch to this armhole angle, that is from shoulder to 7 inches. You know, we will first measure from shoulder to 7 inches. Then out of that 7 inches, I would remove 4.5 to create the curve for the armhole. So that is the part that this curve will be connected to now. Now I used a curve shape as well, but in this form is looking like a bust. Then the next thing is to connect the lines together. They must align at the top, because if they don't, if I'm trying to stitch, it will run back inside and they will not meet up with each other. Having done with that, I added 2 inches, which is the 2 inches that I removed and share in between the two. So I had to add it back. So that's what I'm trying to do now. I added the 2 inches back. Having done with the 2 inches, I connected the lines as well and proceed to measure our seam allowance. So the seam allowance I used as well is 2 inches, and I connected everything together. And proceed to label it seam allowance, and I wrote 2 inches. So after that, I proceed to use this arrow to indicate that this 2 inches is the one I transferred to this other side. So now our pattern is ready. The next is to create our basque, and for the basque, the effect will start at the blouse length here, then connect back to the waistline. So the first thing is to measure at the blouse length 1 inch. This depends on how you want the shape of the basque to be, but for this tutorial I'll use 1 inch for the basque shape here at the blouse length. Then at the waistline, I measured 1.5 inch for the basque. So it depends on your choice. You can do more than 1 inch, you can do more than 1.5, you can do like 3 inches, 2.5. Depends on how you want the shape to be anyways. Then I proceed to connect the lines together right from the waistline back to the blouse length. So after connecting, this is what we have. Next, I proceed to mark the parts that should be cut out using my other marker. And after marking, I proceed to cut it out. So after cutting, I realized I made the mistake in this area. I should have cut the bust without marking the basque first. That is, after cutting the bust part out, then I'll place the two together alongside with each other. Now mark the basque part so that they can align well, because along the line while I was stitching, I realized that the side is a bit shorter and I had to reshape. Next, I marked 3 inches for the 3.5 inch for the width of the neckline, and by 5 inches, and I connected it with this curve shape. Having done with that, I proceed to the back. So for the back, I have the pattern drafted out already as well, and I added 2 inches for zipper allowance as labeled. Next is to create our dart, and for the dart, my nipple span is 7 inches like I said earlier, but I added 1 inch. 7 inches divided by 2 will give you 3.5, which means the fabric will be on fold. Adding ½ inch to it will give you 4 inches. So I proceed to mark the 4 inches right from the nipple point down to the blouse length, and at the waistline I marked half on both sides of the 4 inches. As you can see, I placed my tape on 1 inch, then mark half on both sides. So at the nipple point, I extended the dart by 1 inch because it is for the back, and I connect the lines as well. So after connecting it, I had to slant it back to the 0.5 inch, and I did that for both the 0.5 and also at the hem line. Also, I proceed to mark that part and connect it back to the 0.5 inch as well. So the next is to add our seam allowance to the bodies. So for the seam allowance, I proceed to mark 2 inches allowance, our usual seam allowance. I added it right from the chest line down to the blouse length, and I connected it this way. At the zipper side here, at the half length or the waistline, I marked 1 inch in. This is to avoid bulge in the blouse. So, and I went ahead to mark it out and connected it back to the shoulder line, to the shoulder side this way. So after doing that, I went back to connect it to the blouse length this way. So I have like a curve, not really curve, but a bent shape there. That's the shape of our back, and I proceed to create the Basque effect here. Right after the waistline, I marked 1.5 inches and I connected it back to the measurement I used for the dart, which is the 4 inches at the blouse length, and I slant it this way. So now we are done with the Basque effect. The next is to create our neckline. So for the neckline, I've already marked 3.5 inch for the width of the neckline. Next is to use 1.5 for the length. It depends on your desire. It's your desire. If you want it more than that, you can use like 4, 5. It varies anyways. So, and I proceed to connect it up to the zipper side and also cut. Next, I place the pattern on the fabric to cut out the front bodice pattern, and I added ½ inch for seam, and I've also added my interface to the lining and also to the main fabric that I'll be using. Next, I notch the underbust of both sides because they must align while stitching. If they don't, the bust will not come out, the bustier rather will not come out well. You can see what I'm saying. So I have like 4 pieces here plus the lining, and for the middle I have 2 plus the lining. Next is to cut the body for the bustier, and for this I measured 7 inches by 9. The width is 9, the length is 7. So after that, I place the notched part on the body, ensuring that it's like ½ inch longer than the notched part, and you can see it's unfold. So just place it and ensure that it is well laid like the way I placed mine, and also I proceed to cut it out. The next is to cut the sides, and I also ensure that it's like an inch longer than the notched part, Then this is what I have at the end of the day. So for the middle one, I measure one at this point, then just slant it or cuff it back to the edge here. And at the upper side here, I did the same, marked 1 inch and cut it back to the edge. You can use your marker to trace it, but I can cut it even without tracing it. And all the excess I have, I proceed to trim them. And also after trimming, I proceed to place the half one, the other side, just to ensure that they align with each other. So every excess I have here, I cut them out. As you can see, I have little excess, so they must be of the same shape, they must be equal. So I proceed to cut that part out and also give it a curve shape so that it will look like, you know, a bust, or what will I call it, like a brass this thing. Then I proceed to iron the fabric and the body together. So after ironing, this is the result. This is how it looks. I trimmed any excess I have as well. I trimmed it out. Next is to stitch the 3 pieces together. So I pin them together this way and proceed to the machine to stitch. So after stitching, this is our result. You can see the way it looks. Then I proceed to iron it open this way. I did the same for the lining and the fabric. Then after that, I would like to show you how to iron the bustier. You can see the shape looking lovely inside. So this is what I'll be using to iron. That's what I used anyways to iron the bustier. So I'll place the lined part, the stitched part, and ensure I ironed it thoroughly so the lines can come out. After ironing, you can see how the bust is now. So this was the part I was explaining earlier that I said I have excess. So the next thing now is to reshape. But if I had cut it first before marking my Basque shape, it wouldn't have given me this result. So pardon me for this mistake that I made, and please don't repeat the mistake. Then after trimming the excess I have, I opened it up and I still noticed there was still some excess there. I had to reshape it again. Now this is the Basque effect we are talking about. The next is to stitch both the lining and the fabric together. And the first thing is to pin the neckline together, pin the hem, pin the sides, and proceed to the machine to stitch every part that should be stitched. And also you can see how lovely it is. I have given a good press. And also the next I did was to reshape the armhole. The armhole is not really coming out well again. So for this, I measured 7 inches, the usual 7 inches I used for our armhole, for my armhole. Let me put it that way. So I marked the 7 inch and I cuffed it out right from the armhole side. I cuffed it, then proceed to cut it out. So after cutting, this is what we have. The next, I proceed to make the back bodies as well. I place the pattern on the back, on the remaining fabric, cut out the back pattern and mark that side. So if you have a tracing wheel, this will be very easy for you. Just trace it with the pattern and it will be very easy. And I proceed to pin that side, both for the lining and for the fabric as well. You can see I've added my interface. And the next I did was to pin the neckline, the sides, and the hem together. Even the zipper side, I pinned them together, stitched on them, and gave it a good press. After doing that, I marked out the zipper allowance and proceed to the machine to stitch. Now I have my front bodies and back bodies on each other. Next is to fix the shoulders together. I've also reshaped the armhole of the back bodice. Please note that. Next is to fix the shoulder, and this is the way to go about it. Place one in between the other, then proceed to the machine to stitch and also stitch the measurements. Next is the sleeve. So for the sleeve, I'll be fixing the rubber in between the holes I created. The sleeve is a puff sleeve. I'll still make a video on how to cut this puff sleeve. So after passing the rubber, I proceed to the machine to stitch. Then after stitching, I went ahead to pin it with the bodies. So to pin these, you know, we have gathered, so I went ahead to first pin the notched part with the bodies, then gather the remaining along the way and proceed to the machine to stitch. So this is our end result. This is our Basque Bustier blouse with puff sleeve. So thank you very much for watching this video to the end. Please like and share the video, and if you have any question, please let's meet in the comment section. Thank you very much and stay blessed. Bye.